Question.
For me, I got hurt a lot at going into fourth grade churches. I've been
Yeah.
because I heard people, my father and I, being kind of important and used to get me. For me to open my heart again and everything, what do I have to do more for somebody to convert me? Because I get that easy when somebody converts me doing that.
Yeah, Gilbert's gone into churches and he's just exposed his life and his deficiencies in certain areas to people, and they've turned it on him. So the first thing is only, and I'm not calling you this, but only a fool shares all his mind. You pick and choose who you share your life with.
Amen.
You don't just walk out and go, boy, I'm all jacked up. Yeah. You find people that are worthy of your information, that have shown you a little bit of trust that you think can help you. I didn't share this other scripture on being a friend. We talked about not being broke all the time, not being opinionated all the time, not being selfish all the time. But the Bible is clear to say a gossip separates close friends. A friend that has a big mouth will not be a friend long. You tell them something special, private, and they squander that, and all of a sudden 16 different people know. I'm going to think twice before I tell you something again. I had a situation even recently where someone came in and told me something just, man, it caught me off guard. It was so off the beaten path. And they said, but Pastor, you got to vow to me that you won't tell anyone. And I didn't tell my wife, and I didn't tell Vince. And those are the two closest people. And when it did leak out from someone else, they said, did you say anything? I said, I have not said a word, because I gave you my word that I wouldn't say anything. And so that you must be a person that keeps confidences. All right? Yes?
Let me ask you about the scripture in Proverbs on the odor and incense as it relates to accountability.
Yes. Proverbs 27 and 9.
27 and 9.
27 and 9, yes.
I wanted to ask you one other question.
Yep.
You've used the example a couple of times of somebody speaking truth into your life is a little painful.
A little painful, yeah.
You alluded in what I've seen my data in, but then you threw it back at that person. And so I wanted your feelings on, even if you see the same thing in that other person they're telling you, how should you receive it?
Timing is everything. And so if it's a real sit down, let's talk man to man, then first accept what they're saying about you and acknowledge that, confess that. And if it's an open conversation, then you might want to bring it up. Hey, listen, I hear that I'm received. I really appreciate your friendship and telling me that. And but I want you to deal with it too. I'm going to deal with mine, but you know what? You're doing that same thing. Remember this? So I'm not trying to beat you up. I love you. Because remember, my motive and my method are the same. It's love. And so if that's the opportunity, if not, they might come back a couple of days later. Say, hey, Bob, the other day you shared that. Man, I can't even tell you how much I love you for that. Boy, it just made me feel like a friend. You hear my words? Very inviting, very inviting. But Bob, I've seen this in you also. And since we're friends, and I just appreciate that.
So we shouldn't discount what they're telling us based on the sin we see in their life, even if it's the same.
No. I can learn something from a 3-year-old.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Yeah.
You asked that we need to have like a real friend, a real, who really help me now. I can raise my hand. And I regularly talk with, a lot of guys, and we talk, deficiencies in our lives and stuff like that. Is there like a time, it might sound silly or something, but is there like a time to, after meeting with this person, that I can say, you know what, this person is a little bit friends, or what should I be looking for?
What do you think is missing in that relationship?
I was thinking, would there be any frequency on the meeting and then the encouraging or something like that? Or
Well, yeah, I mean, if two guys love each other, they'll probably spend a little more time together, but time isn't the only issue, because there's times where Vince and I are just busy and we don't get to be buds the way we would normally want. In fact, when he was in the Navy, he got shipped to Japan, and I didn't see him for years. But the love for each other never died. And when he did come back to the States, he moved to Texas and then to Chicago. We still intermittently stayed in contact. There was a void in my life because he wasn't physically here. And then when the Lord moved him back, then we, of course, picked up the relationship. And I say all that to say that yeah, you should spend time together, but there could be, weeks at a time where you just don't get the chance to see each other or talk that much. But talk to them, ask them, say, what, I feel like you're really becoming a close friend. Do you feel that way about it? Maybe we could do more things together. But it's not just quantity of time, it's quality of time. Yeah. Okay. Yes?
How would you handle a situation where you've got a good relationship with a brother, you've been in accountability with them, and the relationship may not be real tight at a given point in time, but you can see them headed for disaster. You can see them maybe doing something that in your own life has caused tremendous pain and problems, and they're not heeding your genuine desire to help them to see where they're headed, and they're stubbornly staying in the sin or continuing to walk towards that disaster. How
Yeah,
would you
Galatians
handle that?
6:1 says, if a brother be overtaken in a fault, you that are spiritual go and restore him gently, but watch yourself lest you also be tempted. So maybe you bring a couple other guys that he likes or looks up to also, and take him to lunch. I mean, if it's a real serious situation where he's going to get himself hurt or in trouble or lost, then maybe sit him down, take him to lunch and say, we're here because we love you. You're a great guy. And we just want you to think about, would you at least think about and pray about this area of your life? Listen, hear the counsel that God has put in your life. And, just do whatever you can. And then it's ultimately his job to either turn or not. Yeah.
Pastor Gary, I became a Christian as a very young man, but I came back to the Lord in 1980 after many years of doing things I had no business doing. When there's parts of my testimony I've never shared with a brother, I mean, how do you know when it's the right time to share your full testimony? You don't. I guess I've picked and chose at times what to share, but how do you know when it's the right time just to lay it all on the line and to know?
You've probably done this, but you make little bets. Because what you're looking for is, he going to continue to accept me? Or is he going to reject me if I tell him how dirty I really was? And maybe you might want to start off by saying, hey man, what's the worst thing you ever did? But little bets. Tell him this and tell him that and share this. And unconditional love. I mean, listen, if you tell him something that you did before and he rejects you as his friend, he's not really your friend. It's not really a guy that you're going to go to battle with and he's going to cover your back. So I would make little bets and at some point ask him and then share it and see what happens. Here we go. All right? Yeah. Go ahead. Thought over here?
Yeah, well, I was thinking what he's saying, that Pastor Gary, the Lord just spoke to me that I guess with friends we can share what we've been in our past, but if you see that that's not even going to help them, it's going to draw them away from the Lord, why even share it? You and the Lord know, maybe you and your pastor know, that's about it. What the Lord has washed away, why do we ourselves even beat ourselves down and bring it back into us? We let Satan do it. We let the world do it. Why do we keep living out to that? When the Lord has cleansed, you're cleansed.
So the question being, why do you feel the need to tell him? But if you ultimately walk away and say, I do feel a need to share this, then that's how I would proceed. But that's a good point. Thank you, brother. This brother right here, and then one more here, and we got to move on for lunch.
Yeah, I could confirm that too. When he was saying that also, I thought sometimes we don't need to, if we don't feel led. It's got to be led of the Spirit in order to share.
Which may bring up a question, do you feel cleansed from it? Have you accepted yourself concerning that situation?